As an athlete, your sport becomes your whole life. You plan everything around the goal of winning an Olympic gold medal.
That is incredible. Silken Laumann is pulling ahead of Lane.
1,500 meters down. Silken Laumann is back in the lead, looking very strong. She's on her way to becoming the world champion.
My goal, and probably the expectation, is that I was going to win an Olympic gold medal. I was in a warm-up race in Essen, Germany. Immediately heard a sound. It was like the rush of a boat being right next to me.
The pointed bow of the German skull shattered the wooden side of Laumann's boat and ripped into her right leg. World champion sculler Silken Laumann, who saw her Olympic dreams all but shattered,
I wasn't really connected to the stories of my childhood. What my parents brought me was a lot of love, a lot of passion, a huge amount of drive and creativity in our family, and that's something that I'm so grateful for. With it came unpredictability, emotional roller coaster behavior that I didn't understand. I distinctly remember her one night in her unhappiness and her rage saying that she wanted to kill herself, and she wanted to kill us all first. I felt the terror of that, and I felt that uncertainty for a long time afterwards. I was a little girl that was afraid of her own shadow. I mean, I was afraid of authority. I was afraid to put my hand up in class. I had constant fear. And the world felt unsafe to me. And I think about that little girl, and it makes me super sad. It makes me super sad that she had to go through that. I mean, I distinctly remember being 7 and deciding that I was going to have a different life. And it was that desire to remove myself from the craziness that I was experiencing at home. So the only way to do that was to create and be determined to create a different life. So in lots of ways, having all that dysfunction growing up, created this super achiever.
Laumann has been rushed to hospital in Essen, Germany, and is currently undergoing an emergency surgery.
Doctors doubt she will ever grow again.
When I got to the hospital in Germany and the doctor was telling me, oh my gosh, this is huge, and I know you're an Olympic athlete, but you're not gonna be able to compete at the Olympics. And I was like, you don't know who I am. I'm gonna go to the Olympics.
I think I will realize the goal of going to Barcelona. I feel very confident about that.
And there's Silken Laumann of Canada. The fact that she is even in this race is a miracle.
Laumann in lane 3 here, the women's singles sculls final.
Laumann pulling ahead of lane 5 with just meters left. Silken Laumann has won the bronze medal, making Olympic history.
And that's really how I became a public figure, because of that accident and that comeback story, which in a way all of us can relate to, right? Because we've all overcome something in our life.
What did the world of an Olympic athlete
She was just
have
beloved
to do
by
with
people.
the
I mean,
world?
they watched her overcome so much, and that was only just one small part of the story.
One of the real gifts in my relationship with Kim is we've known each other since we were 19 years old. My friendships are love relationships. I love that person. If you never allow yourself to be vulnerable, you could only have a superficial relationship with another human being.
Yeah, but didn't start that way. Like, I dove into it. I was sharing, I was being vulnerable.
We both grew up probably in less than ideal situations in our family lives.
Sometimes your chosen family is stronger than what you grew up with.
I mean, it took 15 or more years into our friendship before really she even started opening up some things with me.
The first time that she had ever shared with me something that happened when she was younger, we were walking and she shared and I had to stop. And I just looked at her and I was like, you know that's not normal, right? Like, you know that isn't okay, like what happened to you.
I said that it's okay to reach out for help, to be able to talk about, you know, what's happening inside and not trying to cover it up or keep it inside.
I really didn't understand how my childhood had shaped me until much later in my life. And I started to understand it when I started to have a lot of problems. I think every parent feels frustration. You know, it's loud, the kids are going a mile a minute. I'd feel rage. I just feel like, you know, I just wanted to stop it. And that rage was really surprising to me. Like, what's going on? My life is so great. Where's the rage coming from? I realized, like, I was not going to be the parent I wanted to be. I was going to mess up my kids.
As friends, we've shared our life's journey together through kids and, you know, the pain and the joys.
It was her who, you know, recommended my counselor to me. It was hard, though. It was hard to say it out loud and to use that word. And I'm like, yeah, but like, how can I be depressed? I'm like so positive. Like, I uplift people. I'm like going out there and getting it. And then I'm like, no, but like in those quiet moments, when I finally allow myself to be quiet, I always feel sad. Through the healing work that I did was that I am enough. I'm enough, just as I am, so imperfect, so flawed, so many mistakes. The image that I had in my mind was my kids. Like, my kids are enough. My kids are born and they're perfect and they're beautiful, and how would I ever look at a brand new baby and my baby and think that they're not perfect? And that's the way that I had to learn to love myself. Do you mind putting that on the table, sweetie?
Thanks.
And do you mind grabbing a hot plate too?
And family hot plates.
Hot plate coming at you. I realized I really had to understand my story and forgive myself. Forgive my parents. And they lived through wars. You know, they came here, and at that time, I mean, there was no sort of go to a counselor, work out your stuff, you know, talk about your story, you just need to heal. There was none of that, right? So it was foreign to me as well.
She's she's motivational speaking and she's talking to all these people and she is connecting with them, but she also knows that there's a part of herself that she's not sharing.
The critical difference is not how many times we're rejected. It's not how many times we miss in our attempts. The critical difference is getting up quickly every time we fall.
Appearing as a speaker and on TV and like telling everybody that every dream that they had for their life was doable, that it actually started to feel kind of inauthentic. It's not that the stuff itself doesn't work or it's not true. It's just that like I wasn't sharing that backstory. I didn't share with my friends. I didn't share with my family.
I said, you're going to write a book and it's going to be amazing and you're going to share your story and it's going to help so many people. And she got a little bit mad. She goes, I don't want to write a book. I don't want to tell everybody my story.
And I was totally terrified. I was totally terrified. I mean, I was terrified of, people putting me in a little box and, oh, she has a mental health issue and she has depression and, oh, she had an eating disorder. It was easier for me and harder at the same time to share it publicly. It's probably been the single most transforming thing I've done in my life. What my counselor had said to me is, if you do this and you write this book and you go on this book tour, somebody will come up to you and you will have triggered them. Something in your book will have triggered their stuff and they will attack you. And you have to just be ready to listen to them and then say, thanks for sharing. And there I was in Edmonton at a bookstore, and this woman of German heritage, about my mom's age, came up to me and she told me I should be ashamed of myself. I should be ashamed of myself for embarrassing my parents this way. And I looked at her and I listened to her and I genuinely thanked her for sharing. And then I just brushed it all off. It wasn't mine to carry.
Don't remember how to do this. Just scary, scary, scary stuff.
The most important person to tell your story to is yourself. Explore that story. Find the courage to go deeper with that story. It doesn't matter if you never share it with another person. You need to know what your story is and how elements of the story have shaped you to be who you are. Because when you understand, you bring your power back. You get your power back.
When I knew you were going to be here, I wanted to meet you.
Aw, thank you. The overwhelming response that people had to my book was being able to see parts of themselves in the story. Because I had been so vulnerable in my book, people told me their deep stories, you know, the stuff that had happened to them. And I think I've always thought, wow, there are so many people who have a story that could teach us about ourselves. I imagine this idea of whole health because I was not willing to just slap a label on myself and say depression. I was like, no, this is like, these are the ways I keep myself healthy, my rituals, my counseling, my journaling, my exercise. We should be having dialogues around mental health the same way we have dialogues around physical injuries. And that became our platform, Unsinkable, and Unsinkable Stories and Unsinkable Youth. It's a nonprofit organization. We share stories, but we also provide a community of support and resources and programs. It's hearing from a real person who's really lived the experience, who's come out the other side and is now reaching back and saying, this is what I can offer. I can offer my story. And, you know, it doesn't help for me to write things on a computer. So, you know, here I was thinking about how mental health is a spiritual journey and how you how you can talk about that.
She's taking that passion, and because of her credibility, other people are willing to open up. You know, right from her book, Unsinkable, if I can be vulnerable, you can be vulnerable. And if you can be vulnerable, you can be strong.
I know several people that have shared their story on your platform, on this beautiful community platform. And it's made a real impact. It's like it's empowered them, the fact that they felt the way they felt, but by sharing it in, whether it's a video or an art piece or an essay, someone cared.
It's like you said, it's like a safe place to share a bit of your story. When I started Unsinkable, I really wanted to make sure that it could exist with or without me. Hi, everybody. That it was my vision in the beginning, but it wasn't going to be like my creation. You know, it's our creation. And this is not the end for me. It's a piece of my life now, and life will keep going and evolving, and I'm at peace with that and excited about it. There is that spiritual aspect of what I was doing, and I wouldn't at the time have really thought about it as spiritual. As I got older and was more reflective about the experience, I saw it for what it really was. I realize now that I was in relationship with the water. It's gone from being a place where I'm competitive and I'm driving and I'm working hard to, this interaction that's much more reflective, where I'm aware of the ever-changing nature of water. What's really come front and center in my life is that connection to spirit, is that inner guidance, is that sharing of the inner wisdom.
The quest that she's on now doesn't have an end game. There is no goalpost.
Maybe I'll become a completely self-actualized human being by my last breath. Maybe, probably not. And until then, there's always this struggle to balance. I don't believe we get to that point. It's like, woohoo, everything's perfectly balanced, right? But we have kind of balance over the long term. I want my life and what I've learned and experienced to be of use to other people.